Alors, bonsoir.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this regular public meeting of Dieppe City Council this October 15th, 2019. So to start off with our opening words, dear colleagues, let's have the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the wisdom, the courage to change the things that we can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. So, call to order. Confirmation of quorum. We do have quorum. Conflict of interests. No declarations of conflict of interest. Thank you. So we continue with the adoption of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Leblanc on the question. All those in favor of the resolution that we adopt the agenda as presented, signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. The agenda is accepted as presented. Item number 7, presentations, inquiries, and petitions. Inquiries by council members to Kodiak Regional CMP. Welcome back. Questions, comments from members of council? It seems there are none, so we'll give you the floor if you have anything to add. Good evening, everyone. Mr. Mayor, I took the file today and there's been nothing for me to present. I am still here to see if there are any questions, but I see that everyone seems to be pretty happy, so I can tell you right now that next week we're going to have complaints on speeding on Chartersville because we're finishing off the asphalting. So for sure, people are going to complain that cars are going too fast. We know that it's a couple of steps process. People complain because there are too many holes in the streets, and then they complain when we repair it, and then they complain because people are speeding. And then afterwards they're going to complain because they get a ticket. Yes, that could happen. Mr. Brideau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a question, but I'd just like to wish a warm welcome back to Monsieur Breton, who's going back to Fredericton. So we're losing him. But thank you for your service. You were with us for couple of years, 3 years already since, okay. And I would like to thank all councillors, Mr. Mayor, for the warm welcome that I've received every time I came to council and participated in the meetings. I've always felt comfortable here. So thank you for your warm welcomes. Now, I haven't left yet, so yeah, okay, listen, we wish you well in Fredericton because we know that it leads elsewhere. Well, I hope it's the last move. All right, thank you. Monsieur Brideau, nobody else? So we continue with 7.2 petition, requests concerning tree cutting on municipal property. Monsieur Simard. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Madame Powell has the intention of putting out a petition. There's been an exchange of emails. There are some ideas. There's work is going to be done concerning tree cutting and also kind of working on some of the branches that are overhanging her property. By the municipality, yes. Okay, we're going to be acting. There has been an inspection by a specialized tree enterprise, and there were trees that presented problems, and clearly there were some branches that were overhanging the property. So we decided to find a solution for the situation. That being said, good. We go to 7.3, presentation of the dog park project update.
Who? Angela Harris and Alicia LeBlanc. Hi. You're welcome. Just turn a second here. This button.
Bonjour tout le monde.
Hi, everyone. Maybe if you could get closer to the microphone for the interpreter's ears. My name is Alicia Leblanc, and I have my colleague here with me, Angela Harris. We're presenting here to inform you for the update on the dog park. It was part of the participatory budget. We met to develop the project. So our mandate was to support the municipality in the realization or the setting up of the dog park. So it was a question of getting together to see what was needed in a dog park. An email went out through the city of Dieppe asking for volunteers to join the group. So the first meeting was on the 31st of May, public, so the whole city of Dieppe received that information. But it wasn't exclusively the people from Dieppe who could participate, but I believe that all members of the group are citizens of Dieppe. So we met on the 31st of May, and since then we met 4 times. Once on the site and 3 times here at the municipality, where we discussed the different aspects of the park. We communicate mostly through Facebook and by a private group and by email to continue the steps. There are 13 of us. We all come from the city of Ville, and the budget that was given us was $45,000. That's from the participatory budget.
May 30th, May 31st, we had different calendars. We met as a group at the Boys and Girls Club in Dieppe.
Angela, if you could, excuse me,
sorry.
Mrs. Harris.
That's okay. No one usually tells me I'm quiet. So, yeah, so on May 30th, 31st, we met at the Boys and Girls Club in Dieppe to have our first meeting, to kind of go over the project and what the scope of it might look like. The city proposed a site, which we ended up going down, just walking down the street as a group to check it out. I think some people were surprised and some people were not. It has been used previously by soccer players in Dieppe, and it is a beautiful, massive field, to be quite honest. So the group checked it out, looked at it as a potential site, and agreed that it absolutely made sense. It is completely fenced off, which meant a very good savings on our budget. There was a number of other advantages, including lighting, which for anyone that's in the sporting, has been involved with sports, lighting itself also costs a lot of money. So the fact that that's there and also usable was definitely an advantage. It has good drainage, and then a water source for dog owners was also important. So from our research, it's been shown that it wouldn't cost us too much money to add another to taps, etc., to the field.
So the development that we're suggesting for the dog park, we need basically 2 distinct parts for bigger dogs and for smaller dogs. So there would be a fence that would separate the two parks 6 feet to make sure that the little dogs don't go through. Another thing that we had to consider was double entrances so that you can go in the park with your dog on leash, and then once you're inside, you can take the leash off, and then there's a second door, and there the dog can be free. So gives you the opportunity to take the leash off in that double entrance. So there would be 2 doors like that, one for the smaller dogs, one for the bigger dogs. Also, it's you make sure this way that there's only one dog that can leave at the same time. We're thinking about also little brush, because up to now it's been used as a soccer field. So we'd have to ask, maybe put a little bit of texture, a little bit of small trees, things like that. We're also in the process of working out some places where we can get protected from the rain. It's not basically for the dogs, it's for the people with the dogs. So, we're there basically together, bunched up and enjoying coffee while the dogs have fun. Also, another thing, access to water. It would be obviously turned off during the winter, but mostly important, it's during the summer when it's really hot. So it's very important to have water for the dogs. Some people bring their own water, but sometimes for the bigger dogs, it can represent 3 or 4 liters of water. So we probably need just a little tap, something that you'd find on a residential house.
So as Alicia mentioned, we have a very, hardworking and dedicated group of volunteers that have given their time and research. I would like to take a moment, she doesn't know I'm going to say it, but to thank Marcel and Alicia that have been working on this for I don't know how many years, advocating to have a dog park. There are many thousands of dogs in Dieppe. Many of us travel to Moncton and Riverview to use the services and facilities here. So I can assure you that there is a lot of excitement in the community right now to have our very own dog park. So we're showing you, just a little bit of the behind the scenes. As I said, a lot of research was put into what we could do for the budget that we have. This is Luke showing our attention to details. So a lot of times we've gone to the park and used flags and measurements to make sure that this actually makes sense. We did a trial run as well after the gates were installed to make sure that they made sense. It's one thing to look at something in theory, but when you actually go and use something, you want to make sure that if you're taking a large hyper dog like mine into the dog park, that it makes sense which way the gate swings. For the small dog park, we did have to make some adjustments so that the dogs couldn't get under the gates. And again, these are things that you can talk about, but until you actually go and use them, you can't necessarily figure them out. So I'm going to show you another photo here. This is the large dog entrance, so you can see the two separate entrances and the two or entrance exit. And we do have signage coming. We'll talk a little bit about that. So it's not officially open. We're trying to convey that message to the community and to Facebook as well. It's not officially open yet. As soon as we get the signage, et cetera, it should be good to go. And this is more of the panoramic view. We've got another one as well near the end, but just showing it's a huge field, a huge space that a lot of us will be able to take advantage of.
So the part here is the entrance of the smaller dogs. Here there was just one entrance. You see the fence in the back. That's the end of the park there. Here, if we move back a little bit, that's on the smaller dog park. And as I mentioned, these are pretty large areas. I think it was 50 meters by 88 meters. So we had the surface for the bigger dogs is twice as large as the surface for the smaller dogs. So even if it's not officially open, there are people using it and who really appreciate the size of it. We've heard many comments, nice comments already. And the last picture that's the whole park.
Here, those benches have been removed. There were old soccer benches, and some temporary ones have been added in, but we don't have photos of that.
Les buts de soccer, le défilé.
Also, the soccer goals have been taken away. Also, we'd like to thank the Dieppe staff. They helped us in the development of the project. We had collaboration with the leisure staff. They added garbage cans. They coordinated the installation of the fence. There's also communications for the rules and the signage.
That has come up a number of times since the beginning of the project was the budget. And so when we started off, we weren't sure how much things would cost and how far our money would go. So we wanted to get it to a point that we could open it before the winter. And so we're very close to having that done. But one of the things that was very important to the group was to make sure that, that we had those, what do you call them? The shelters. Thank you, shelter. So we had the shelters. We've gone, back and forth with a number of contractors to get quotes and to make sure that, we didn't want to just put something up. We wanted to make sure that it would be something that, the community could use and be proud of. So we are still waiting on some of that. And that impacts the sponsorship. So again, we have a list right now of potential partners, potential sponsors that we will approach. We discussed doing it now so that we could build those shelters before winter, because we will be just short of, being able to afford it. But if we go that route to sponsorship, I have been involved in that before, and it's not necessarily something that a group of volunteers can manage. With our day-to-day work, et cetera. So we've put that forth to 2020. We are welcoming, potential ideas, partners, sponsors right now. And we will have more details about that in the spring when we can kind of iron out how that would work, what it would look like, what the campaign and levels, et cetera, would look like. And yeah, they can certainly contact the city for more information on that, or Luke, specifically Luke Richard.
Alors, les prochaines étapes, c'est...
So the next steps is basically to finish the park, the signage, rules. Those are the things that are missing. And we hope to put the shelters before winter. So the group as such, volunteers, we're looking for more volunteers for future development activities, education. Right now I have a Facebook group, Dog Park Committee, so I really want them to get involved in this, because right now I've basically alone, and so we need people to talk about the park. And so the official opening would be next spring, when everything will be finished. Questions from members of council? Monsieur Thibaudot. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In your presentation, you mentioned that there were thousands of dogs in the city of Dieppe, and we know that there are fewer than this that are registered with the city of Dieppe. And we know that if they don't have their permit, we cannot guarantee that they've had all their vaccinations against illnesses or rabies. So what kind of control will you have to make sure that sick dogs don't go in there? Obviously, we have no way to control, but we have established on regulations that the dogs have to be registered with the municipality. So, I mean, they have to be registered with their community. If they're registered, it means that they've received their vaccines. And other regulations, under 4 months old cannot use the park because before 4 months old, they haven't had their vaccines yet. So their access is limited. So these are rules. Unfortunately, we will not be there to enforce the rules. I mean, we can mention it, but it'll have to be self-policing, basically. But one of the things with the Facebook group is to educate people. My objective is to take that group and, I mean, those people, their dogs are their babies. They don't want them to get sick. So they will be probably communicating, education, proper etiquettes this is why a dog should not be in the dog park and for what reasons, etc. Okay, thank you. That gives me an answer to the question. Monsieur Alain. Thank you, Monsieur Alain.
Donc, est-ce que le parc à chiens est ouvert tout de suite?
So is the dog park open now? Not at all. Okay, so nobody can go there with their dog. So the objective is in spring 2020. I was on the budget, participatory budget, but I hadn't heard anything about this. So really, I'm looking forward to this. So please, some updates, and I'd like to share this with my citizens, my colleagues, co-citizens. So the more information you can give us, the easier it is for us to pass it to our citizens. The official opening is going to be in spring 2020, but as soon as we have the signs and regulations established, the park will be open. Right now there are some users, but I mean the fence is there, but there are no garbage cans. So we will be opening the park unofficially when the regulations are up there, the signage and all that, and then the real grand official opening will be in spring 2020. Monsieur Richard, what are the dates for obtaining the signage with the regulations and things like that? I think it's a question of weeks, if not days. Adjustments also were necessary for the fence. We're working with the municipal installation services. So, thank you. Madame Arsenault, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Madame Richard, it'll be on Facebook for the opening, for the teachings, etiquette, all the criteria, that'll be on Facebook. For the Facebook group, that is a private group, that's not the municipal Facebook. So I imagine when, as we do with other installations, there'll be communication at one point or another. I don't know what they're going to be using for advertising, but
Une couple de millions de mille de chiens.
there were thousands of dogs in Dieppe. Do you know approximately, is it 1,000, 2,000, 3,000? Do you have any idea?
Back in
We en 2015, quand on a fait la présentation, à ce moment-là, oui, les statistiques, c'est qu'un tiers des résidences avaient un chien et ça représentait, c'est de la recherche qui avait été faite par l'Australie, mais il n'y a pas de recherche au Canada. Et par rapport à l'inscription mentionnée par M. Thibodeau, malheureusement, les inscriptions sont très basses, malgré.
Community. We're hoping that with the dog park, people will
On espère qu'avec le parc à chiens, on verra de la.
the dog park, which would increase the amount. And I do believe that that has also recently changed, that it's a once-in-their-lifetime registration. So versus the annual renewal, I think that the once-in-a-lifetime will also increase the amount of dogs who do register. We're hoping to see that anyway.
Wonderful. I think it's a great project. Monsieur Simard, s'il vous plaît.
Monsieur Simard, please, question. Up to now, how many dogs are registered here with a license here? As it was mentioned, we've introduced registration, a lifetime registration. We do follow-ups on vaccination. So means the figures went from 400 a year to, I think now we're at around 800 and some dogs. It increases every year because of the conditions that we set. Obviously, we have to know that the dogs with microchips have free registration. It means that we don't have to run after so many dogs when there's the microchips. It's easier to find the owners also. Thank you. Any other questions? No? So thank you for your presentation.
I'm sure that it's been a long time coming. It's nice to see it happening. Merci.
So next item, 7.4, presentation QP 3515 concerning the grievance procedure, specifically grievance number 2019-001, step 4. Réal Denis is going to be presenting the grievance. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councillors. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present this grievance on behalf of the grievance committee of QP 3515, representing the firefighters of the municipality. This is under the grievance article under the collective agreement. It's on a question of overtime. And it's a section that's in the collective agreement that gives out overtime to all employees on a rotational basis. And just one point, I mean, we've had this section in the collective agreement for 27 years, and it's the first time that we have had to reach step 4 to find a solution to the disagreements. Before that, we were able to find a solution before reaching step 4. I won't have the time tonight with 10 minutes to go through the whole document that I've sent you. I won't have the time, but maybe an overview. And I was told, I'm still on paper, but I said that they took my paper document and they digitized it for council. So,
on April 25th, 2019, the city called to work employees for overtime because they wanted to send some employees to work for flooding that took place in the spring. There's a section 2405 in the collective agreement, which describes a procedure to follow. Our position is the procedure was not followed. So that's why there's a grievance that has been filed. For a grievance, we have many steps to go through. You've seen it in your binder. There's at each step, there's an answer from the employer, and it continues. The common theme of the different representatives and steps that we've passed until now is that the work for emergency services is outside the negotiating unit too. So the collective agreement does not apply. That's a position of representatives of the city, but this union is not in agreement with that position because the employees were paid by the city of Dieppe. The managers and of the fire department decided how long they would stay there to work, and in 2018 we went to work on the floods, and the collective agreement was followed. But this year one section was not followed, but all the others were. And referring to my binder and the different emails, and there are text messages here, you will see that effectively it's the city of Dieppe that was in control of the employees. When the employees were there, they had to follow the directives of the commanding officer. They're not provincial employees because they went to work there. They were still city of Dieppe employees. After the floods were over, the city can send a bill to the government to recover expenses when they send the employees. So our position, because the city sent a bill to recover the expenses, the employees are still employees of the city, and the collective agreement applies. In 2018 and 2019, it was the same work for the same organization, the same type of incident. It was flooding, and the employees did the same type of work. The employees that were sent that day had to do rescuing, not to go rescuing. We have a boat, they have training to help, so that's what they did. So this is our grievance. There are details in the documents that you have, and we would like you to consider this and give us your decision on this. Thank you for having listened to me. Are there any questions from councillors? Ms. Councillor Allais, thank you, Mr. Denis. It's good to clarify this. Like you said in the last paragraph, clarity is essential. I have two questions. How many times during the last 20 years have emergency services, emergency measures called? Are there other instances that call our firefighters for their services? For the first question, it takes place more often now with climatic change. I don't know how many times, but I can look it up and give you that information tomorrow. But in the past 2 years, the St. John River was flooded, came out of its bed, and firefighters in the province were asked to come to help in this emergency situation. How many times we were called? I'll look it up tomorrow. And the second question, are there any other organizations that ask for our services? We have an agreement with the 3 communities. We have services of mutual help with Moncton and Riverview, so we help each other when necessary, if it's beyond the capacity of the city. But it's for emergency measures that they will ask us, and they put it into place, and they invited people to do volunteer work with emergency measures. Any other questions from councillors? No. At this point, we shall take into consideration your presentation and we'll give you an answer at the next meeting. The next meeting, which will be on the 28th of October. Thank you. The next item is a presentation of the strategic plan by the Working Committee. Your Worship, we're reviewing our strategic plan. Our team worked very hard with the council, so we have a draft plan of the strategic plan. So we'll start with Madame Duguay. Good evening. Good evening, Your Worship and councillors. Tonight we are presenting our report for Strategic Plan 2020-2030. To start, for the context and the process, we created an internal committee with employees of different divisions. And last spring, we hired consulting firms specialized in strategic plans for municipalities. We gave them the mandate to guide us in this process. First of all, we had a retrospective and prospective exercise of different services, divisions, to determine where we are now and where we want to be in 10 years. Afterwards, we had reflection workshops with elected officials and managers, and we discussed about our forces, our challenges, and different issues, as well as strategies that we want to develop. We received the preliminary report in August. Now, we're at the stage of public participation, and we'll give you the means that we're going to use. We'll give you that a little bit later in the presentation. I'm going to invite my colleague, Ms. Spencer. Good evening. Our mission for this strategic plan is to shine as a francophone city, be proud of Acadian roots, and offer services of quality in harmony with the environment. So this is an inspirational source to reflect important notions of Acadian culture and francophonie, as well as being an inclusive city, sustainable, innovative, with quality infrastructure. Our vision had a lot of elements. We had a lot of things that we wanted to do before 2020, but now it's a green city and very welcoming and inclusive. So for values, we have 3 I's: integrity, inclusivity, and innovation. As well, with integrity, we include respect, honesty, rigor, equity, transparency. With inclusivity, we include hospitality and belonging and pride. Innovation includes dynamics and initiative. In our new strategic plan, we have 6 points: cultural and community development, sustainable city, economic and prosperity development, and planning of our territory and infrastructure, and municipal governments of high quality. We have a lot of strategies, and I'm going to pass the mic now to my colleague, Councillor Alain. They ask us to synthesize this information, so I'll go quickly from one to the other. The first point is cultural. One point is to develop and promote fulfillment of Francophone community and Acadian pride. It's very important for us here in Dieppe. And 1.2, to offer programs and cultural and recreational inclusive communities. Yes, we're Francophone, we're Acadian, but we're inclusive as well. 1.3, maximize the use of spaces and equipment in public and within the community, and to prosper and to with a sentiment of belonging, engagement of citizens for development of a green city. We have 4 strategies. So it's attached to environment, protecting our green spaces with our parks and trails, with ecological diversity, highlight our particular natural assets, our water courses, our marshes, and lastly, transportation, active transportation. With economic and prosperity development, to densify the downtown with cultural life, develop infrastructure, and develop a business on innovation creativity, to encourage development, to attract tourists to Dieppe, to become the destination of choice for Francophone immigration in the Atlantic provinces. For planning the territory, the infrastructures, to encourage development of land that's already been serviced within the urban center. We want to concentrate the population around the downtown, where there are already services offered. We don't want to spread out, so it would be more costly. To improve existing infrastructure and to add more to answer to the needs of the city. Stimulate development of the land that has already been identified, such as residential, commercial, industrial sectors, and to maintain municipal assets in a good condition. As for citizen participation, we have 2 points. To increase participation in the decision-making in the city, to continue innovation and diversification of communication tools with the population, with the municipal governments of high quality. We include the improvement and transparency of municipal governments. Pay attention to our human resources, our staff. It's our most important asset in the city. To continue our efforts for financial management in all steps of our organization, and to prove that we have leadership and innovation to improve the work procedures in all our city divisions. And I'll pass the mic to my colleague to finish the next steps. Even though we have a strategic plan as a tool, it belongs to the city council, it's important to go within the community to get their comments. To do that, we use 2 means. One, we're going to have a survey online, and people can give general comments on the strategic plan, the strategies that were presented tonight, but we want to engage the community in this strategic plan for the community. So it's not just for the management to go ahead with its vision. So we want the community, the private sector, families, etc. So we asked 3 questions. What can the municipality what can the municipality do as a concrete action to improve this plan as presented? Second question, how can the community, private sector, can contribute? What initiatives can be put into place for this plan, and what can people and families, what can they do to help us with our vision? So those questions are online in our survey. And we're going to set up something in the lobby the next week. In the next few weeks, we're going to set up tables with a lot of information on the tables with our 6 themes. And people will be able to come in when they want, and they can answer these 3 questions, give us their comments on our actions, initiatives, so that the community could do something to go ahead with this initiative. It's not going to be very structured. People can come anytime they want, but we'll be there to help if they have questions they want to ask us. But we want to get as much information as possible to be able to build this action plan after these plans, the strategies that we presented this night. We want to put a lot of meat on the bones now, and that's what we want to do in the city, but we need the contribution of the citizens. And when we have all the details, we'll be able to set our priorities. So this is what we wanted to present this evening, to update you on what we're doing and to inform the public on the next steps that we're going to take. Are there any questions? Councillor Thibodeau, thank you, Your Worship. I don't have a question, really. I just wanted to confirm that those 6 points you mentioned, there's not one that has priority on the others. They're all equal? Yes. Thank you. Other question from councillors? I think we're all aware that we've worked very hard with staff on this file. So now we can see the beginning of another 5 years of strategic planning. If there are no other questions, thank you for these presentations and for your participation. Now we're at 7.6, presentation on the general capital budget 2020 to 2024. Mr. Landry, I think we'll have more questions on this subject, and you'll be so excited to hear this. Good evening, Your Worship. I don't like to see all these people leaving the room just before my presentation, but think of your vast public on internet. So today, this is a presentation of what we recommend. The budget will go through in December. Things can change between now and then if we get more information. So, presentation of general capital budget, a 5-year plan. I'm just going to give you a little bit of information of what was presented about 2 years ago. The debt ratio, our objective was 10% before 2027. We're at about 15% in 2020. Maximum of borrowing, we had set 4.5 million for 3 years. When we have budget surplus, we put that money into the reserve in the general administration to finance projects during the year and to replace the equipment. And the last thing, we have capital to pay the debt. So as the debt is reduced, then we invest in new assets. For 20 to 2024, we have set infrastructures for capital budget for 76 million, transportation 45 million for infrastructures and water and sanitary sewers 9 million, equipment 10 million, and for culture, sports, and communities 76 million. So we have 37 million in capital operations. This is a budget to pay directly our assets without having to borrow. Tax on fuel is 11 million. 3 million will come from reserves. Contributions 15 million, and borrowing 10 million. Contributions are money received from other governments, investors for projects for the city. Now we're talking about the municipal fleet, so I'll pass the mic to Eric, and he'll talk about replacing the equipment. Good evening. I won't be very long. At the fleet, we have 4 mechanics that are qualified, certified. We have an inventory of about 200 pieces of equipment, diversified, specialized, including motors for the pumping stations for a value of around $15 million. Our fleet costs between $300,000 and $4,000 a year. The direct cost of maintenance and repairs is about $400,000 a year for the material only. For our 2020 program with annual evaluations, we have 10 pieces of equipment that will be replaced. 1 tractor for sidewalks, 2 trucks of 1 ton, 2 half-ton trucks, a tractor to resurface, a tractor for sports fields as well. And for the next 5 years, on 2020, we have $831,000, 2021, $1,363,000, and 2022, $1,416,000, 2023, $1,242,000, 2024, $1,318,000. For our general capital budget, this is it. Do you have any questions? I think we're going to wait until the end to ask questions, unless you wish to do otherwise. I was asking the councillors. So we shall continue now. I'll give you a bit of more details for 2022, 2024. For 2020, we want to replace equipment at $700,000. Eric presented his program for 5 years. So $700,000 is the general portion. It'll give you the same total as Eric presented. Synthetic services, conditional financing from other governments. A project of $2.6 million that we have right now. The city is contributing $1 million. So we're just waiting to see what will happen with other governments, what they will contribute to the project. We have the site music card for $1.2 million. This project has started already. This $2 million for Uniplex for $2 million to complete the project. We have a financing campaign for $1.7 million, and $300,000 will be added to make it $2 million. And Music House site, this is $1.2 million. That was set for 2020, but we got it in 2018. To finance this project, we used money destined at Uniplex, so it's a borrowing. We needed the Site Musica for the Congrès Mondial Acadia this summer, so we went to this project sooner, and then we sent the money back into Uniplex. To acquisition of land, we have about $600,000 each year. We have future projects, new street lights. We have to buy some lots to widen some streets, like we had to buy at Gauvin. So that's what this is. So in downtown Îlot Gauvin, $400,000. As you know, the houses that we buy year after year, it's to have enough space to add more infrastructures for the city. So we want another alley north-south. I don't know if it was presented already. We want an alley going in between two buildings. For 2020, the preservation of asphalt, each year we have an amount destined to maintain our streets or put a microsurfacing on the streets to preserve them. That's $2.6 million. So we're going to work on Arsenault for $1.6 million. And $250,000 will come from the province for Arsenault Street, which belongs to the province, and Rue du Collège, Champlain, up to the new Uniplex, and a part of Notre Dame and Thibodeau for $145,000 as well. And on Chartersville, between Boulevard Dieppe to Corvette Street for $300,000, and with the money for preservation of asphalt, $375,000 will be used for microsurfacing. So we're going to pave it to extend its life. Just in front of Irving McDonald's on Boulevard Dieppe. And for resurfacing, we're going to do Chartersville, Central, and Melançon, sections of these, and designated highways, Acadie Miro, by the marsh. That was done a few years ago, so we're going to do micro-surfacing to prolong its life. Melançon's road, $1.4 million. That's from the roundabout near the fire station going to the limits of the city. We're going to raise the road, and there'll be a viaduct going underneath, and we're going to build a trail and a sidewalk. So for the students to be able to walk, because there's a school there. On Champlain Street, between Wheeler and City Hall, just before the mall. It's a designated highway, so we're waiting for the authorization of the province so that we could go ahead with this province that would be financed 54% by the province. If they refuse, that money will be reinvested in another program that would be accepted by the province. The dig in Fox Creek, dike in Fox Creek, that's conditional. It's not an asset of the city. It's at the limits of the city. We have financing of $750,000 from FCM. We're putting money on the table, so we're waiting for use from the province to allow us to continue with the project, so there will be funds dispersed this year for next year.
Under others, there are plans and quotes for years to come. So for 2020, that's a total of 16.1 million for the year 2020. Funding for these 16 points is 4.8 from capital operations, 3.8 million from gas tax. This year, the gas tax, we've received an amount. We receive usually twice the amount that we usually receive, because we know that we have elections, and the FCM and the municipality is pushing to make sure that the gas prices remain the same. Reserve accounts, we're talking about surpluses from past years that we can use now to set off assets. Other contributions from other levels of government, Trans Aqua and other investors. And we foresee having to borrow 1 million in 2020 for a total of general 2020 16.1 million. Here we see the map of the work that is going to be done. And now I'll give the mic to Madam Spencer. Thank you. So Steve pretty well talked about all the projects, so it's just to give you a little bit of visual. As you know, on designated highways, we're going to be replacing asphalt on Champlain on the left, the green section. That will be conditional to the infrastructure and transport department. Also on Acadie, and a little bit on Amiro, and at the intersection of industrial, that's micro-surfacing, and also that'll be conditional to funding from the province. Reworking college, we replace the asphalt. We'll be adding also places for buses on each side, bus laybys as we call them, with the Uniplex Center. We'll be replacing the aqueduct on the Notre Dame and Thibodeau. These are cast iron pipes that we will be replacing. Pipe replacement on Chartersville Road, and replacement of the asphalt between Dieppe and Culpet. Also renewing of Arsenault Road. It'll be determined as to what we do, but it'll certainly be reconstruction because it's in a very bad state. On Molantstant Road, as it was mentioned, we'll be replacing the culvert. We'll be raising the street a little bit. We're adding the multi-functional use trail to the park. And then micro-surfacing on a couple of streets, all the other blue, Chartersville, Melanson, Central, and a section of Bourke Road to try to preserve the asphalt on those parts. Thank you. So now we go more summary for 2020 to 2024. So for 2021, a total of 10.1 million of projects. Equipment replacement program, that was Monsieur Dupuy's section. Shelters and purchase of buses. Here it's the same amount as last year, but we set everything back 1 year because right now the province froze the active transport program presented by the federal government. So right now we just have to added a year to everything that we've presented up to now. Preservation of the asphalt. We were talking earlier that we were saying from Boulevard Dieppe to Gorbit. The following year we'll do Gorbit to Champlain. That's the second section. There'll be micro-surfacing for $460,000. Paul Street and designated streets, Champlain. the work that we did from City Hall to Midland 2 years ago. So we'll do micro surfacing on that section. Land purchase is the same thing that I was saying earlier. Opportunities to purchase residential houses. The culvert on Lorette, that's in really the worst state that culvert is in the municipality, so it's high time that we change it. Acadie Street, reconstruction and replacement of water sewer pipes between Thibodaux and Champlain. That project, 1.7 million, 800,000 will be coming from the asphalt preservation. Bourke Road, section 1, we have to add drinking water service so that from Melanson to Desrosiers Street. That'll be 1.9 million, that'll come from the PDA. On Chemin Bourque, we'll fill in the ditches, and there'll be a trail on one side of the Bourque Road. Downtown, the Gauvin Island, the lane north-south, we're going to be continuing the east-west lane that will be open up into College Street. So there'll be a sidewalk, there'll be parking. So that means that we'll have a new lane in that area. And then in others, for 500,000, we're talking about plans and quotes for future years. And then crosswalks, pedestrian crosswalks if necessary. For 2021, we would be borrowing 1.5 million while respecting the yearly average. 2022, 15.4 million. Equipment replacement program, same thing as earlier, Monsieur Dubé's presentation. Purchase of bus and bus shelter, same thing. Asphalt preservation. Once again on Chartersville, that'll be the section from Pascal to Dieppe Boulevard. It'll be micro surfacing, 120,000. Land purchase, 700,000. Same explanation. Reconstruction of Chemin Gauvin Street. It's the last section of Gauvin Street or road. We'll be replacing the water pipe at the same time. Realignment of Thomas Street. At the end of La France, there was a roundabout that will be built there. It's a project that was started a couple of years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, when it was started. And once it'll be finished, 4 phases of Thomas Street will cut across the land to meet up with that roundabout that will join up with La France Street. I don't know if you follow me, but during question period, I probably can explain. Bourque Road, phase 2, from 1092 Gulf Street. That's after 2022, means that the Bourque Road will be completely redone with a trail on one side. Making the market bigger, it's conditional depending on other government levels or organizations. It's a 6 million project. The municipality has 1 million on the table. So we're waiting for more data to be able to go forward with this project. And then others for 300,000 plans and quotes. We're talking about the Doiron House. That would be 150,000 for Doiron House to finish the basement. I forgot to mention that in 2020, 40,000 in others was for the attic of the Doiron House. So in 2022, we'd be borrowing 1.8 million. 2023, Total 13.8 million. The two first bullets, program for the equipment replacement and the purchase of bus and shelters. Preservation of asphalt, 3.2 million. We don't have the streets yet. We're doing the studies to make sure that we find the proper ones. It's too far off to identify the streets. Land purchase, same thing as earlier. Champlain Street, 3.6 million. Conditional, designated roads, depending on the province that's financing part of the project. And we're talking about Dieppe Boulevard to Moncton Flight College. That whole section would be redone in 2023. We could also change designated highways depending on which roads need more work than others. Carp and Emmanuel Street, that's Dieppe East, 1.9 million. Street sides and asphalting. Ruffin Street, that belongs to Expansion Dieppe. That's next to the operations center, across the street from Jean Coutu. That would be for 2 million. Conditional to funding to develop those lands. And then in others, it's the same thing, plans and quotes for future. And we foresee borrowing 1 million for 2023. $2024, the last year for general capital. Same thing for the two bullets. 3.3 million for the preservation of asphalt. Land purchase, same thing as for the previous years. Reconstruction of Sainte-Thérèse Street. That's from Paul Street to Acadie. And then Thomas Street realignment, phases 3 and 4. They would cut through lands to reach the roundabout. 2024, we continue in East Dieppe and Appleton, Barnes, and Légère streets. A section of Légère was done this street because there was a problem with rainwater. In others, we're talking about culverts, sidewalk, and playground. Sidewalk on Kedgewick and Derève Park, replacing the culvert on Pascal next to Dolbeau. And we figure that borrowing for 2020 will be 1.5 million, 2024, I would suppose. So it's the same type of way of presenting it for water and sewer. It goes quickly because all water and sewer projects, most of them are pretty well in line with other projects. So you see in 2020, there's 2.5 million of projects. What you see in darker, they are linked to projects that I've presented in general capital. What's in green are distinct water and sewer replacement of equipment with Eric, that's the water and sewer. Link work that goes with that. That's preservation of asphalt. Collector sewer, Babineau Creek. Sections of Dolbeau-Bastarache to Bonaventure, La Rochelle. It's over 2 years, and 50% of that project is funded by Transaqua. Pumping station on Melanson, across the street from the Richard Street Park. It's going to be built on the other side of the street to serve clients who are living towards the limit of the municipality. This is a new development that is going to be built in that area. 2.5 million for 2020. It comes from capital budget. 200 million, the others from French Transaco. We go to the capital, 0.6 million, and then we'd borrow 0.7 mil for 2020. 2021, 2.6 million projects. As you can see, they're all in black, and they've all been presented with the general operating. Charlesville on Aqueduc, the water on Acadie, then Bourg for drinking water. We'd be borrowing 1.5 million in 2021. 2022, same thing. Although I explained in the general capital, the aqueduct on Charlesville, the water pipe on Gauvin, realignment of Thomas. Here in green, we see new sewer on Amiro. We're talking about the section that would be added to the section between borrowing 900,000 for 2022. 2023, 1.5 million projects on Champlain and Ruffin streets, water and sewer sections. We don't foresee having to borrow anything for 2023. 2024, 800,000 million, 0.8 million in projects. Sainte-Thérèse, water, realignment of Thomas Street and others, borrowing. No borrowing for 2024. I didn't do it last year. I'll do it this year. I presented a 5-year plan, but just like there have been changes since last year, so I'll talk to you about the changes compared to what we presented last year. The gas tax fund, we receive an additional 1.7 million. It's been approved this year, so it'll be spent next year. Some projects have been put forward, some of them put back, and then a couple of projects have been conditional to funding from governments, which means that if we don't get the funding, we'll have to find other funding sources or push the projects farther in the future. Downtown, the little lane that I was talking about was supposed to be for 2020 to 2023 for $400,000 a year. It'll be finished in 2021, so in 2022, 2023, we'll be finishing off the lane. The second point is linked to this. It's the Gauvin Road. The last section was supposed to be finished in 2020. We put it back to 2022. The reason being the Jeux de la Francophonie won't be taking place in Dieppe. That's the reason why we wanted to redo that place. And we're working on the lanes. Rather than having trucks rolling on the new streets, we'll wait for the lanes to be finished, and then we'll do Gauvin. So that means that the Gauvin will be finished by 2022. Designated roads, Champlain. We're talking about from Dieppe to Moncton Flight Collars. That was for 2023, 2024. According to this, would be the whole section in 2023. Less problems in blocking the road in 2 years. Realignment of Thomas Street for 2023. We'll be doing it in 2022. The roundabout. You know that during high volume time, there's a lot of traffic on La France, and that creates slow-ups. But we'll see that once Charlesville is finished, we'll see whether it helps. Water pipes and sewer pipes on Acadie was for 2022 and 2023. The 2 phases will be finished in 2021. Between Sainte-Thérèse and Thibodaux, and between Champlain and Sainte-Thérèse, those sections will be finished in 2021. Bourg Road. basically, they're saying the same. They were conditional to financing. The funding will not be available. We're talking about active transport. We want to use those monies to make the trails along Bourg Road, but since we won't be able to do Bourg Road, then that we eliminated the conditional funding. So the culvert, Melançon, and a trail for 2022, but we'll be doing them in 2020. This at the request of the school district to help the children walking to school. The culvert on Lorette was for 2024. It'll be in 2021. The state of the culvert is in poor shape, so we had to do it. Dieppe Est, Cop, Légère, and Emmanuel will be doing it in 2023 instead of 2024. Part of Légère was done in 2019. Making the market bigger, that was for 2022. That'll be pushed back to 2022. Right now we're during elections, so for sure there have been no announcements. So do something like this is not called for. Hopefully we'll be able to do things by 2022, and I mean, maybe we'll have more money at that time. The trail on Fox Creek, last year, it was in the 5-year plan. This year, it's not there because of the conditional funding from the province. And once again, this involved the active transport. Fox Creek was put on a list with other trails. We still have to determine an order of priority for the trails, because right now priority is going to be given to the streets that are being built, so we can integrate the trails at the same time. So we'll have to have a list of priorities to find out which one will be next. Lands on Ruffin Street, it's pushed back to 2023 due to conditional funding. So in conclusion, it's a little bit of a data that I found. From 2012 to 2019, we've invested a total of 146 million in capital projects, 72 million for new assets, and 74 million for existing assets. So almost 50-50. Municipality in full growth, we invest in more new assets. For 2022 to 2024, 76 million is projected to be invested. 28 million for new assets, that's 37%. That's a fairly high percentage for growth. And then 78 million for existing assets. That's the management of our assets. And it's part of the financial plan. So that is the end of my presentation. And now, more questions. I'll open with a question concerning the gas tax. At page 71, we're talking about the capital budget for 2024. Capital tax as being 11 million for that period. That does not include the possibility, as requested by the Canadian Federation of Municipalities, that we receive, as it was done this year, twice the amount of gas tax on a continuing basis. This 11 million does not include that, though. We received approximately 1.8 million a year, and it's indexed. So if ever we do receive this 1.8 additional million, then it would change the 5-year plan for the future favorably. Okay, thank you. Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Me, it's concerning the Appleton, Barnes and Légère that was pushed back to 2024. I think it's been 7 years that it's been pushed back year after year. And I think that it should become a priority project. If I look at the realignment of Thomas Street, is that really urgent? I'm asking the question because there are things that may be more urgent than the alignment of Thomas Street. Yes, it's important to do it at one point or another, but as far as I'm concerned, we should do those streets so that those citizens can feel as full citizens. I will not answer that question. I'll give the mic to Madam Spencer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the former 5-year plan, that was for 2024, so it was moved up 1 year, but I think that we've started work already since a couple of years in that sector. And I also believe that we moved back the roundabout around La France. So at the same time as that project on Dieppe Est, it's not that we can bring back the Dieppe Est project, because I understand, though, that it's been a couple of years. Yes, a couple of years, because we made 3 streets at the time, and the 3 others were for the following year. And now it's put back year after year. It seems that it's enough for the time being. I think we're going to have to continue to push our federal government in particular to be able to maintain the double amount of gas municipalities that should go back to the municipalities. In that case, we'll be able to more easily match projects and maybe move forward certain projects. If I may, also, there's also Arsenault Road that is late. That wasn't foreseen for the short term, so it's a complete reconstruction. So, and it's in the same sector of the municipalities. So there are residents there, and there are industries that are in that zone. And Melançon Road, which was not on the short-term radar. So there are certain things that come up that have to be considered as important or priorities. And we do recognize that people in Dieppe Est are important equally. But when you consider safety, traffic, the densification of traffic, we have to take all these considerations. So at the end of the day, we give you information according to the data and the statistics that we have every year. Thank you. Councillor Godet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first point, Acadie Street between Champlain towards Gould Street in that area, that road to the church is in a bad condition. Is that one being moved back because we have to change all the sewer system? I saw in the last spring it was broken up, so I'm not sure. That's just a comment. Madam Spencer, good evening again. So, you're right. It's a complete reconstruction that includes replacing the pipes, so it's a big project. There's also, we have to start conception in 2020 to, I mean, we have to consider that it's in the downtown. So there are a couple of things that we want to incorporate this. We realize that the asphalting is a poor state. With modernization or construction that is starting there along that way, and we're going to have to modify the whole system anyway. Yes, that's what we have to look into, and it would be good, because if we can do the servicing to the lands before construction, then it would avoid cutting up the asphalt a year or two down the road. Another point, the exit of industrial going to Road 15, is there anything on that? Is there a possibility maybe that we have an idea as to when things are going to start moving there? We put in the request we were suggesting strongly to build. So the budgets of this year were completely frozen. We're going to be starting again for the next budget in April 2020 for the following year. Everything is in place. The province has the land. The conceptions is there. The design is there. I think we're talking about $1 million to finish the ramp. It's going to have an impact on traffic at that part of the municipalities. We're talking about France and La France and industrial and tomato. That's part of the whole equation. So, I mean, okay, we're saying that it's a priority to build as soon as possible. We're investing energy and we're telling them it's important.
With everything that's happening and the development near the school with the developers, I don't see anything in here to increase the capacity to service the water. Do we have a system that's adequate in there? The system that's in place is adequate. Of course, when we have when we make it longer, Boulevard Dieppe, we're going to look at all that, but for the time being, we're fine. Thank you. Nobody else? I'll take care of that. Thank you. If there are no other questions, thank you for your presentation. Now we shall get to the next item. Questions by members of the public. We have a vast public this evening, so I don't think there'll be any questions. So we will go to the adoption of the minutes. Moved by Councillor Cormier, seconded by Councillor Thibodeau, that we adopt the regular council meeting held on September 23rd, 2019 minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So the minutes of September 23rd is adopted as presented. Item number 10, motions, memorandums, and nominations. Administration 10.1.1. Mr. Manasso, here you have a request for exemption for bylaws and 22 external commercial signage. So for the Francophone, Tanakadzi and Dieppe will be here in a few weeks. So we have a request for an exemption. It's indicated in the bylaw at section 3.2 brackets 2 that an entity can make a request for exemption if in their mission it is indicated that the presentation is in French or in English. So we recommend to approve this exception. Councillor Thibodeau for the reading. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council authorized the Francophone en Acadie Dieppe to proceed with unilingual Francophone external commercial signage. I so move. Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Brideau. For the question, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. Next item 10.2 engineering. Domaine La Vignoble Estate Subdivision, Unit 2, Phase 9. Babino Sanitary Sewer Main. The promoter proposes other development on the subdivision, so we have main sewer on Babino, and it's going inside this subdivision. With this development, we usually help the developer to build the line on 80 meters on the future street Rochefort, and we recommend to sign a reimbursement with the promoter, and he must answer to the estimate by the engineering department. For the reading of the resolution, Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. That council authorize a reimbursement to the Mellow Developments Ltd. Of the installation cost of approximately 80 meters of sanitary sewer main along the future Rocheval Street, and that said reimbursement be made once the work is completed and tested and the invoice approved by the engineering department. That council further authorized the cost of this work, estimated at $140,000 plus HST, be defrayed from account number 4395587719, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Bobino Creek Sewer Main, and also authorize a budget transfer in the amount of $73,000 from account number 7420128940, Water and Sewer Capital Reserve Fund, to account number 4395587719, Water and Sewer Capital Budget, Bobino Street Sewer Main. I so move. Moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Cormier. On the question. No questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. 10.3. Organizational performance, ride-sharing program, pilot project. With the plan Destination 2040 with Moncton and Riverview, we have many initiatives in this master plan and the program, and one of them is transportation, and ride-sharing is recommended in this strategy. We ask that Council accept a ride-sharing plan with a web platform with the company covoiturage.ca. So for $4,000, it's a 2-year project. The municipality will invest $12,000. So I would like your support this evening, thank you, to read the resolution. Councillor Godet, that Council accept the implementation of a ride-sharing program through a web platform and partnership with the company covoiturage.ca. I so move. Moved by Councillor Godet, seconded by Councillor Arsenault. For the question, none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. 10.4, Planning and Development. 10.4.1, PAC recommendation. Tentative plan, Bois-Joli subdivision. They're asking for a tentative plan for the subdivision. So it's recommended by the committee to have a mix of two options for land for public uses, and there would be a balance of it, 8% of $3,112. It will have a corridor for a trail and cash in lieu of land. So that's what we're looking for land for public uses. For the reading of the resolution, Councillor Arsenault. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council accept the Planning Advisory Committee's recommendation relating to the acceptance of the tentative plan of Bois-Joli subdivision situated on Melanson Road, which provides for the setting aside of part land and part cash in lieu as land for public purposes. Moved by Councillor Arsenault, seconded by Councillor Arsenault. For the question, none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. 10.4.2, purchase of 2 electric vehicles, Sauvé project. Here, we're putting things in order. We've had an agreement with the AFMNB, the Francophone Association of New-Brunswick municipalities. So we're buying electric vehicles, and the AFMNB makes the payment to the municipalities that buy them. So this is a resolution of last year, and we're going to replace this with a new resolution. This one is just housekeeping. So for the reading of the resolution, Councillor Brideau. The Council repealed the resolution adopted on number 27, 2017, entitled Financial Participation Survey Project, AFMNB, Demonstration Project Component. The resolution adopted on August 13, 2018, entitled Financial Participation Survey Project, AFMNB, and the resolution adopted on September 9, 2019, entitled Purchase of 2 Electric Vehicles, and adopt the following. That Council award the tender for the purchase of 2 electric vehicles, purchase and installation of 4 charging stations, as well as the survey tools and services to the Association Francophone des Municipalités du Nouveau-Brunswick, AFMNB, at the maximum cost of $195,000 plus HST, subject to the reimbursement of 50% of costs from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities under Survey Project, SSE, AFMNB, demonstration component, and authorize that the expenditure for the purchase of 2 electric vehicles be defrayed from account number 2565 General Operating Budget Equipment Replacement Program, and that the expenditure for the purchase and installation of 4 charging stations, as well as the survey tools and services, be defrayed from account number 1252122836 General Operating Budget Sustainable Development Plan. I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Brideau, seconded by Councillor Cormier for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. 10.4.3, another recommendation from the PAC, rezoning application. So Village des Arbres submitted a request from the PAC is to rezone on Melanson Road. The committee recommends changing the zoning plan. So it'll be clearly identified by the reading of the resolution. For the reading of this resolution, Councillor Thibodeau. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council accept the recommendation made on September 18, 2019 by the Planning Advisory Committee concerning an amendment to the zoning map, zoning bylaw, as outlined in Bylaw Z 10, 2017-6, relating to the lands identified under PID 70494570, 70402615, 70536834, and 70512470 in order to accommodate the development of row houses. That Council further accept that this application be subject to Section 59 of the Community Planning Act with the following conditions. 1. The development of the lands will be carried out in general conformity with the conceptual plan entitled Le Village des Arbres, dated September 9, 2019, and attached as Schedule A to the memorandum dated October 2, 2019. 2. Notwithstanding the above-mentioned condition, the development officer may approve up to a maximum of 10% minor changes to the conceptual plan, such as street and building alignment. 3. No development of any portion of the lands should be permitted before appropriate arrangements are made for the development to be serviced by the municipal water and sewer system. Before receiving approval for the connection, the developer must submit a detailed plan to be approved by the city engineer. That Council proceed with first and second readings of Bylaw Z10, brackets 2017-6. I so move. Moved by Councillor Thibodeau, seconded by Councillor Arsenault. For the question, none. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. Now for Public Works, 10.5.1, road salt supply. It's recommended to proceed with to buy salt from Nutrien at $55 per ton. This is an RFP from the province to acquire this. We have a savings of $12 per ton this way. The client is in Sussex and they're reopening their salt mines. So we're taking advantage of the saving as well as transportation. So we recommend to proceed with this contract. Thank you. For the reading of the resolution, Councillor Arsenault. Thank you, Your Worship. The Council award the tender for the purchase of road salt to Nutrien at the cost of $55 per ton plus AHD for the 2019, 2020, and 2020-2021 winter seasons, and authorize that this expenditure be defrayed from account number 1235652645, General Operating Budget, Transportation, Salt and Sand. I so move, Your Worship. Moved by Councillor Arsenault, seconded by Councillor Leblanc. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. Now we're at municipal bylaws, item 11. 11.1, bylaws Z9. To amend bylaw relating to the municipal development plan for the reading in its entirety, followed by second and third readings. Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw number Z9, 2017-2. A bylaw to amend a bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan. The Council of City of Dieppe, under the authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 19, enacts as follows. The bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan, being bylaw number Z9, brackets 2017, enacted on the 11th day of September 2017 and filed in the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 3753874 on November 3rd, 2017, is hereby amended as follows. Subsection 6.1 of Section 6.0 entitled Special Uses, Areas, Policies, and Purposes amended as follows. A, by adding the following under the title Telecommunications Towers. Policy says it shall be a policy of council to ensure that the policy Z2, brackets 2019, City of Dieppe antenna system siting policy will complement the municipal development plan and provide strategic directions for radio communication antenna sitting within the City of Dieppe. B, by replacing Proposal 6 with the following under the title Telecommunications Towers. Proposal 6. It is proposed that policy Z2, brackets 2019, City of Dieppe antenna system setting policy be updated as required. C, by appealing Proposal 7 under the title Telecommunications Towers. I so move this reading in its entirety. Moved by Councillor Leblanc, seconded by Councillor Cormier for the question. No questions. All those in favor of this bylaw signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Bylaw Z9, brackets 2017 to amend a bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development has been read in its entirety. We'll proceed by reading by title only in second or third. Bylaw number Z9, brackets 2017-2, a bylaw to amend a bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan. I so move. In third lecture by title, third reading by title only. We accept this bylaw, second and third reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary, nay. So bylaw number Z9, brackets 2017-2, amending the zoning bylaw, second and third reading. Now, 11.3. Z9, 2017, 11.2, excuse me, trying to go faster. So bylaw Z10, 2017, 4 to amend the zoning bylaw. The reading is in its entirety. The people that are coughing the most, I should ask. Councillor Godet, perhaps? I'm a little bit lost now. We're at 11.2 Z10. We did Z9 already. Bylaw number Z10, 2017.24. A bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. Is it this one? Do you want to speak in your mic, please, Councillor Godet? The Council of the City of Dieppe, under the authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 19, enacts as follows. The City of Dieppe zoning bylaw, being bylaw number Z10, 2017, enacted on the 11th day of September 2017, and filed in the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 375388783 on November 3rd, 2017, is hereby amended as follows. 1. Subsection 2.1, brackets 1 of Part 2, definition is amended as follows. A. The definition of medical marijuana production facility is repealed. B. The following definitions are added. Cannabis means cannabis as defined by the Government of Canada pursuant to the Cannabis Act. Cannabis. Cannabis production facility means a facility and premises authorized by a license issued by the Government of Canada pursuant to the Cannabis Act for growing, producing, testing, destroying, storing, or distribution of cannabis, but does not include the retail sale of cannabis or cannabis-related products. Subparagraph section .1, brackets 1, brackets A, brackets 37 is repealed and replaced as follows. 37, cannabis production facility. 3, subparagraph 7.2, brackets 1, brackets B, brackets 29 is repealed and replaced as follows. 9, cannabis production facility. 4, section 3.58 is repealed and replaced as follows. 3.58, cannabis production facility. 3.58, brackets 1, despite any other provisions of this bylaw, no lot containing a cannabis production facility shall be permitted within 150 meters of any residential zone or institutional zone. 3.58, brackets 2. Despite any other provisions of this bylaw, when permitted, all functions associated with a cannabis production facility shall be conducted within a completely enclosed building. 5. Schedule B is amended by repealing the words Installation de production de marijuana des fins médicales, medical marijuana production facility from the first column, 23rd row of the parking requirement chart, and replacing them as follows. Installation de production de cannabis, cannabis production facility. Subsection 3.57, brackets 1 is repealed and replaced as follows. 3.57, brackets 1. Nothing in this bylaw shall prevent the erection, placement, alteration, or use of a telecommunication tower regulated under federal jurisdiction. Proponents may also refer to Policy Z2 brackets 2019 City of Dieppe Antenna System Sitting Policy. This is second reading in its entirety. Moved by Councillor Cadet, seconded by Councillor Brideau. On the question, no questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Bylaw Z10, brackets 2017-4, carried. By reading it in its entirety, we'll proceed to third reading. Bylaw number Z10, brackets 2017-4, a bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. I so move. In third reading. Moved in third and last reading by Councillor Godet, seconded by Councillor Brideau. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Carried as presented. (11.3) Bylaw Z9 brackets 2017-3 to amend bylaw relating to the municipal development plan. 11.3.1 reading in its entirety. Councillor Brideau. Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw number Z9, brackets 2017-3. A bylaw to amend a bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan bylaw. The Council of the City of Dieppe, under the authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 19, enacts as follows. The bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan, being bylaw number Z9, brackets 2017, enacted on the 11th day of September 2017 and filed in the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 37538742 on November 3, 2017, is hereby amended as follows. Schedule A1, entitled Generalized Land Use Map, whenever it is mentioned in the text of the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan bylaw, is amended by the map hereto attached as Schedule A11. I so move. Reading in its entirety. Moved by Councillor Brito, seconded by Councillor Arsenault. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Bylaw Z9, brackets 2017-3, is accepted in its entirety by title only now. Bylaw number Z9, brackets 2017-3, a bylaw to amend a bylaw relating to the City of Dieppe Municipal Development Plan bylaw. I so move in third reading. Thank you. Moved in third reading by Councillor Brito, seconded by Councillor Arsenault. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Z9, 2017-3, accepted in third reading. Now for bylaw Z10, brackets 2017-5, to amend zoning bylaw 11.4, reading in its entirety. Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Your Worship. Bylaw number Z10, brackets 2017-5, bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. The Council of the City of Dieppe, under the authority vested in it by the Community Planning Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 19, enacts as follows. The City of Dieppe zoning bylaw, being bylaw number Z10, brackets 2017, enacted on the 11th day of September 2017 and filed in the Westmoreland County Registry Office as number 37538783 on November 3, 2017, is hereby amended as follows. 1. Schedule A, entitled City of Dieppe zoning zoning map, whenever it is mentioned in the text of the zoning bylaw, is amended by the map here to attach as Schedule A5. I so move in third reading, first reading in its entirety. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Bylaw number Z10, brackets 2017, 5, accepted by reading in its entirety. Now for third reading by title only. Councillor LeBlanc. Bylaw number Z10, brackets 2017, 5. Bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. I so move in third reading by title only. Moved by Councillor LeBlanc, seconded by Councillor Cormier. In third reading, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Bylaw Z10, 2017, 6.
Yes.
Amending zoning bylaw, first reading by title only. Madame Arsenault, that's 11.5.5. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Bylaw number Z-10, 2017-6. Bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. So moved. First reading by title only. Seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. That we accept in first reading is Z-10, 2017-6. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. So Z-10, 2017-6 is carried. First reading. We're going to go with the second reading by title only. Councillor Arsenault, please. Bylaw number Z10, 2017-6, bylaw to amend the City of Dieppe zoning bylaw. So moved, second reading by title only. Moved by Councillor Arsenault, second reading by title only. Seconded by Councillor Thibodeau. On the resolution, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Contrary-minded, nay. Once again, Z10, 2017-6 is accepted. Second reading by title only, which brings us to item 12, notice of motions. No notices of motion received, and 13 inquiries and announcements by members of council, starting with Councillor Godet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two things. First of all, concerning Rue Sainte-Croix, Beau-Séjour, and Grand-Pré streets. Maybe it's something that's personal, but today I almost crashed a car as I was turning left on Paul. This is at 4:30 this afternoon. So I came onto that street. It was on Sainte-Croix Street. And he cut across two lines. Long lines. The first on the left stops at the light, but the second one is, continues to go in Acadie towards Saint-Anselme region. And I'm wondering if there isn't anything we can do, because cars goes by quickly. I was continuing at 40 kilometers an hour, and it's a good thing that I have good brakes. I mean, I stopped this short from a person. I think there was an accident last week there, actually, where people cut. And the cars that go above the hill, they go straight, and people don't stop. On Normandy, that's not permitted, going the turn. But for those three road streets, it seems that it's permitted. And I think that there is a danger. And a couple of people have signaled that danger, especially in the morning. I mean, it stops traffic when people turn left. So that's a point I want to raise. I don't know what people from traffic department think, but it's difficult to address because there are three streets close to one another, but still, I find it very dangerous. Madam Spencer, you're going to take note of this, I hope? Yeah, just want to make sure the vehicle is on the Champlain and it's turning on Sainte Croix. Yes, when you're in Champlain and you're going down in the morning or evening, people who turn left to go in don't see this second lane cars going, and they're coming up fairly quickly because there's nothing to stop them. No lights, no stop signs. Second point I'd like to raise is, as everybody knows, we saw in the papers this week, the question of the French consulate closing. I have spoken to a lot of different people, and people have the concern that it's going to happen. I know that the city of Dieppe, in an unofficial way, has twinned our municipality, knowing this situation. A lot of associations that came up with a lot of things to try to change the decision, because it's going to be over 2 years that the decision is going to be made. But I'd like to see the possibility of having a resolution from a municipal council that would support maintaining the French consulate in the Greater Moncton region. And following this resolution, that we send a letter to two people. First of all, Monsieur Gauvin, who is the minister responsible for francophonie, and second of all, to the French government agents. The French General Consulate here in Greater Moncton is not only an instrument for services to French citizens, but it's an office, an organization that helps the development of collaboration between French organizations, governmental, with agencies and governments and universities here. And our organizations, the SNA, the SINNB, use this organization, this consulate. It's slightly different from what they have in Montreal or in Toronto, in the sense that there is a political responsibility to maintain this collaboration between the French government and the Acadian government of sorts. Something to be considered in the future. I think that many people around the table do support the maintaining of the consulate here. So that's it for me tonight. Yes, it's for sure that on a personal basis, we've expressed our concern concerning the closure. We favor an approach with our colleagues from Moncton, who are also very concerned. As a matter of fact, Friday I have a meeting with the consul, and a visitor from the Paris office, and once again we will try to put forth our reasonings and considerations. Obviously, the municipal council or municipality will definitely comment on the subject in the near future. Thank you. Councillor Leblanc. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing to bring tonight. Monsieur Cormier. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nothing to add. Thank you, Monsieur Brideau. Same thing. Thank you. Monsieur Thibodeau. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to add to what Monsieur Godet said concerning the French consulate. I think that if we send a letter, we should send it not only to the Vice Premier responsible for francophonie, but also to Minister Joly, who is also responsible for francophonie at the Canadian or federal level. Also, at the French embassy in Canada, because I know that Monsieur Lurida has expressed disappointment concerning this decision. So I think that we should call forth all these actors. That's all. Thank you. Yes, we're taking note of this. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just something to say that it's such a nice weather. There's so many beautiful colors. Maybe it would be a good idea to take a long walk along our trails. Rotary Park is really marvelous. Nothing to add tonight. I think that everybody is happy to see the end of this meeting. So good evening to all. Thank you.